Today I'm going to be walking you through step by step on how you can build your own YouTube daily digest with N8N. We'll be diving deep on how you can scrape anything from YouTube using both Apify and YouTube's own API. Throughout the video, I'll be showing you the most common problems that arise when you're building scraping systems in N8N, and of course how to solve them, so make sure you watch all the way through. Alright, let's get into it. But first, 20 seconds, why does it matter? Why should we even build this? It's because as business owners in the B2B space, AI space especially, things move so fast, and it's your job to stay on top of market trends, stay on top of competitors, and YouTube is the prime space to do that. We all know that. But the problem also with YouTube is that it is designed to keep you there. The algorithm is addicting, pulls you out of flow, and flow is your most precious state. So before you know it, you've wasted hours down the whole rabbit hole. And again, the reason why we're building this is because in an ideal world, we have that information handed to us in an email, easy to read. It's not going to pull us into just a massive rabbit hole of more videos. You have the link there to watch it if you need, but really you get all the information just from the email. So that's what we're going to build today. So hopping on over to N8N, as you can see, we've got two workflows. Really one main one, and then just a side workflow that we use to get each YouTuber's channel ID. I think it'd be a good place to start is going through the channel ID workflow, and that way you can set up your Google Sheet alongside me. So how this works is that it first reads the Google Sheet. In order to do that, let's set one up. All we need here, two fields, channel username, channel ID. The channel username, it can be found when you go to any YouTuber's page. You'll see it, I don't have one up right now, but you'll see it'll say @ and then their name just at the end like that. Copy all those into a list. You won't have the channel ID available, so that's what we're going to do right now. In order to do that, start with this module here, get rows. Very simple, line it up to the sheet that you're looking for, and then we're only filtering for channel ID. So we have a filter channel ID in the column, and then we leave this empty, basically saying grab any value that's empty, because we don't need to do it again if we already have it, obviously. From there, it's going to use the YouTube API, and this is something that you're going to get used to from the other flow, but here, so you have it, this is the URL, and in this one specifically, we're using the search endpoint. And these are your parameters. We have Q, and then the username, which we mapped from this one, type channel, max results 1, part snippet, key, and then you have your API key. I'm going to change that, so don't try anything. From there, once we've got it, all we do is update it. I'm sure you've done this before. Map it back. And now you should have your filled out channel ID. Having this, we can get into the real workflow. So start with the schedule trigger. I've got mine going every day at 9 a.m. This can be whatever you want, weekly, custom, does not matter. And then we're going to read the sheet. And reading the sheet is where we can get all the info from this sheet that we already have. Map it up just the same way, get rows again. And then now we're back to the Google API. So again, search is the endpoint you want to use here. And these are your parameters. Hope you had a chance to see that. I'm going to now show you how to get this API key. All right, so the way to get your API key for the YouTube API is to come into here, into console.cloud.google.com. Now, if you've built with N8N or Make before, you probably recognize this place. This is where you would fetch any credentials you need for Google Drive, for Google Sheets, for anything like that. Specifically today, though, we're just going to get the YouTube API credentials. So the way you do that is you start by making a new project here. Again, I've already made everything, so it's all going to show up for me, but I'll show you what you would do if you haven't made anything yet. So you go to new project, you'll set up from there, and then you'll see your project. And then once you're done, you come into API and services. Everything we're doing will be within here, within these three here. So we'll start in library. And library is where you can see all the apps that Google owns. For us specifically, we just want the YouTube Data API. And then yours will say enable. Click enable, and that's all you do. And then after that, we'll go into the OAuth consent screen. This is where most of the work is done here. So you can see we have all the panels on the left. Nothing, I believe, in this. When we go to branding, it will name your app, name it whatever, it doesn't matter. Give your support email. And then make sure in authorized domains here, you have n8n.cloud. And you can add your email again right there. Audience, this might already be set up for you, but it is internal. Clients, don't worry about that right now. And then data access. This is where you add your scopes. So when you come into here, they won't be clicked. Just make sure you go to out of 100 and then select all. It's okay to have them all, update, and then you'll be set. And obviously make sure you save at the bottom. Verification Center, I believe, has nothing, so I think we should be all good to come back into credentials. And this is where you actually have your keys. If you're building with Google Sheets or Google Drive, you'll have your client ID and client secret in here. For us, we actually don't need that since we're just going through the HTTP module. So you'll have to go in here, create credentials, API key, and then it'll make one for you there. And that's where you get that. So now, once you have that, that's a fake one. Now that you have that, we'll come back in here, add it into here under key. And of course, also into the channel ID. This is the same API call. All right, so now that we're looking good, after that, after we've gotten all of our YouTubers' latest video from our sheet, we want to just make sure it's posted within the last 24 hours. That way you're not getting repeats every day. So we have two things here. We have this publish stat, which is this. This is coming from the API call. This is when the video is published. And then you just want to make sure it's after this expression. You can write this down yourself. It's basically saying now minus 1 day. So it's everything's within the last day. And then we have this little if statement. This is just here to make sure there weren't 0 videos from the day. Rarely happens, but it can. So we just want to make sure if there's 0, we do nothing. If there's more than 0, we keep going. So that is what we are going to do. Now we just want to set the YouTube URL because we're going to need this variable later. And basically what it is you have in quotes the classic YouTube start there, youtube.com/watch, V equals, and then you have this video ID. And your video ID, I believe, can be found from the endpoint that we got right there, video ID. So now this is your new variable, and this is what we're going to be using to reference later. Hope that all makes sense. And now we're going to start with looping. I have, all you have here is batch size. Honestly, I don't think there's a problem with going more. I'm going to go 50, honestly, because just in case we have a big list, ton of people are posting. For me, that's never happened because I only have 12 people, obviously, but it should be good to do that. And then you'll create this loop here. And as you can see, this is the path that it follows, and it's going to loop around for each of the videos. So for me, of my 12 YouTubers, 4 posted in the last 24 hours. So we have 4 times going through this loop. And now here we get into the real meat of it. This is the Apify call to the YouTube transcript scraper. So we have a post request, we have a URL, we have a header, and then we have this JSON. I'm going to show you how to get all of this. Don't worry, this is just copy and paste from Apify. So if we head into Apify, let's go out of this so you can just see what it's like from the beginning if you've never used Apify before. I believe you'd start in store, and then let's just search YouTube transcript. See what comes up. So this is a marketplace where you can purchase or essentially rent uses of anybody else's scrapers that they put up here. And you'll be able to find a cheap one pretty easily. This is the one that I use by Caramello, and it's got $7.50 per 1,000 transcripts. So I've run this probably close to, I guess, 100 times, and it's costing me 73 cents. So it's nothing to worry about. Apify gives you $5 every month anyways for free. So that is great. And you can get away with Apify's free plan in a lot of ways. I will tell you later why in some sense, you might want the paid plan. It is $50 a month, which is kind of steep, but there are a few things that will improve your system with the paid plan. I'm still sticking with free though, so you can get away with it. So yeah, now that we've found this, what we want to do is look through this. This is essentially every endpoint, or not endpoint, but every JSON object that we're going to receive here. So I've clicked just all the ones I want. Before I didn't start with thumbnail, I wanted the thumbnail for my email letters, so I did that. And then once you've clicked everything you want to receive, you have this JSON. And this is the JSON that you're going to copy and paste back into N8N right here. And I believe the only variable we have is the YouTube URL, so which is the one we conveniently set in our set node earlier. So everything else is static, and you get the YouTube URL. One thing to note, and you know how I mentioned I would show you a few of the downfalls, a few of the things you might run into. This is one of them. You'll notice here I have memory 512. This doesn't come standard in the JSON object here from Apify. I wrote this in myself, and why that is because, as you can see here, you have 8 gigabytes of memory going at one time on the free plan. Each YouTube URL costs 2 gigabytes. So what that means is you cannot run more than 4. And obviously for our letter, we want to be able to have more than 4 emails, or sorry, 4 videos going. So that poses the problem. But what you can do is you can manually change the memory to not be 2 gigabytes, but rather 512 megabytes. And I'm sure you could even do 256, 128 as well. There's multiples of 2. 512 works for me, and it should allow, I guess, doing quick maths, like 15 videos, you know. But if you want to try 256 because you got more videos, that would work too. I think it would just make it a little bit slower. But I don't think that'd be a problem, especially because the system speed is not an issue because this runs on a daily scheduled trigger where you're not even noticing. It just happens every day at 9 o'clock or whatever you want to set it to. So now that we know all that, we want to come to API endpoints. I used to use run actor synchronously and get data site items. There's one downfall with the free plan with the memory, and that's why I went to run actor, which means that we have to do a 2-step process in N8N, which I'll show you. But essentially what you do is you copy this, and your API key will automatically populate. If you don't have one, I believe you can set one up here. I assume in settings, API integration, there you go. Set up your own API token. Once you've done that, it'll be consistent across your whole Apify workspace. And now when we go back to wherever that thing is, you can see, you can paste that, that'll auto-populate. So once we do that, we're going to take that post request URL into N8N, into the scrape transcript, and put it into here. Again, I'm going to change this later. So, and you'll notice we have one more thing. This is what would come when you go to paste. This is what you need to add. And memory equals 512. Just like we added the memory equals 512 into the JSON body, we'll do it again here in the URL if you want to do 256, obviously. And then don't worry about authenticating. And then we have one header, accept application JSON, just the classic. Send body JSON using JSON. And then you're going to paste this in just how I explained to you earlier with this. Making sure the URLs is not just one video here because it's going to give you random video to populate. You're going to make sure that that is the variable, which is going to pass in each of the URLs on a loop. So I think we should be set for this. And as you remember, we did run actor. We didn't do run actor synchronously or asynchronously, whatever the term is. We didn't do that. So yeah, we didn't do synchronously. We just did normal. So what that means is that this call in N8N is just going to send it to Apify, and it's going to right away receive some response saying that it's accepted, but it's not actually going to receive our information. It takes 15 seconds, let's say, on average, to get all the information back, depending on how many you have. So what we need to do is we need to collect it. I have this simply as a wait node, 20 seconds, and then we collect it afterwards. This works fine. Honestly, I could put this to a minute and it would be totally fine, just to be really safe. I'm going to use this just for testing to keep it quicker though. But in a production where you need to receive the information right away and your user's just waiting for you, you can implement multiple check nodes, wait nodes, a more complex looping system. For us, just put it to whatever. You put it for 5 minutes for all you care. And then if you wanted to make sure your newsletter delivered right at 10, you just change this to 9:55, for example. So it's really not a big deal. But what is the big deal is us collecting the information afterwards. So the way we're able to do that is by using a GET request to this URL. And now I'm pretty sure I remember using Claude actually to get this URL. I was troubleshooting a way around the problem of going over the memory. We came up with this 2-step solution and it gave me this URL and it works perfectly. So feel free to take it. Essentially all it is this with your JSON data ID, because when you scrape the transcript, you'll get a data ID. You just have to put that in there so it knows which run to get it off of. And then you'll need to use your Apify API and then your token. So then after that, no authentication, nothing special. We have 2 query parameters, format JSON and clean equals true. I don't know what dirty would be, but it works for us. So we'll keep going. Through there, it gets passed to the conversational summarizer. This is one of N8N's special AI agent steps. You can get it here by going advanced AI, and then my face is in the way, but summarization chain here. So that's what we have. And all it is, so using the last node's input, I put a pretty decently sized character per chunk. You can experiment with that though, depending on how long your, if you're scraping podcasts, for example, maybe you want it to be a bit bigger, but you can experiment with that output yourself. And then in the summarization method, you should find this under extra options. They set you to this at first. I just use stuff, so I just have one prompt. I find it's plenty enough for this. And this is my prompt. Feel free to copy and paste this or give it to Claude and have it write this out for you. But this is personally how I wanted my emails to be formatted and what kind of takeaways I wanted from the transcript. And then all you got to do is make sure you actually feed it the text, which is from the HTTP request. And then also give an example input in HTML format. And I'll get more into the HTML format here with the next few nodes, which are formatting nodes. But you really want to give an example output in the exact same format, exact same language, everything you'd want the actual output to be. It really helps. So once you've got that, it's going to loop around. Oh, by the way, using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I tried Google Gemini 2.0 because I know it's free and it has a massive 2 million context window. But in reality, it just wasn't listening to my instructions. And as soon as I went back to Claude, it was perfect. So I've stuck with that. It's not like it's expensive anyways, so we're totally fine there. But yeah, once it's looped over all the items, it's going to go back to this format HTML step. So these last 3 steps are essentially to pretty all this up, so that we can get it into the Gmail looking nice. So to start off, we have this long, intimidating expression. And again, I got Claude to write me this. You can steal mine, but I'd advise you to just get Claude to write you your own. And the way you go about prompting it is you need to have an idea in your mind of what you want the email to be formatted like. So as you can see, I have in a header 2, an H2 header, I have the title, and then below that, or next to that, I have the creator, and then below that I have the summary, Let me actually just show you here so you can get a good sense of what the output looks like. So I have my H2 header, and then I have this, and then I have the thumbnail in there, summary, key insights, and then repeat for these 4 different videos. So you just need to come up with your own style, how you want it to look, and feed that into Claude, and it will write this kind of expression for you. Make sure you give it the context it needs. But yeah, so once you have that, this is all you need, and just name it something that you'll need to reference later. And then we're going to take all of them and aggregate them. When I said reference later, I mean reference right now. Format video HTML. We're going to aggregate them all and go into the edit fields. So this is kind of where we start putting it all together. I just wrote what I wanted, your daily YouTube digest, in the last 24 hours, and then I have a special variable that basically just shows how many videos we're doing. So as you can see, it says 4 creators posted. This is a variable, and the way that happens automatically is with this loop over items you reference here, and then you say all dot length, and that'll give you the number of things you're looping over, which happens to be the number of videos you're scraping. And then this variable is the last one that we set. So this is going to be all that information that we just set. And then finally, one last step is to actually send it in the Gmail. And this is just the last thing there. Everything together, all we do is put that into the message spot, and that's it. Make sure that your email type is HTML in text so it can read this, because this coming in is HTML, because we specify from Claude HTML. We specified in our formatting HTML. And then send it to whoever you like. This can be an expression too, depending on who filled out a form or whatever. For me, I just sent it to myself. Subject, and you know the deal. You will need to authenticate with your credentials in the exact same way we did before in here. If you can do it for the YouTube API, it'll be almost the exact same process to do it again for the Gmail. And if you can't figure it out, there's a million videos on it on YouTube, so that'll help. And yes, that should be it. So now just to summarize, once a day, you're going to get an email right to your inbox. It's going to have summaries of the latest videos of your favorite creators, or even your competitors, so you can stay on top of things. And yeah, that's everything. I would greatly appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I'm going to be posting a lot more now. And yeah, besides that, I will see you later.